There's a moment many parents know too well. It's late. Homework is still on the table. The book is open, but the child has shut down. Tears come, then words no parent ever wants to hear. I'm dumb. I can't do this. Why am I like this? And somewhere in that moment, a well-meaning system whispers, wait and see. Tonight's guest says that is the most dangerous advice of all, because dyslexic kids aren't broken. They're not behind. They're not failing. They're specialists, growing up in a world that only rewards generalists. Welcome to Spirit Talk Show, Bedtime Stories for Grown-ups, where we slow things down, tell the truth gently, and listen for the moments that change how we see ourselves and the people we love. I'm Doyle. Tonight's conversation is for parents who are exhausted, for kids who are trying harder than anyone realizes, and for anyone who has been mislabeled, underestimated, or told to wait when what they really need was understanding. My guest, Russell Van Brocklin, known to many as the Dyslexic Professor. Russell works with families who've been stuck in frustration, bouncing between tutors, worksheets, and well-meaning advice that never quite works. He helps parents move from guesswork to a real, actionable game plan, and helps children move from daily reading battles to confidence, clarity, and self-belief. In this episode, we'll talk about why wait and see does more harm than good, why dyslexic learners are specialists, not generalists, how passion can become the doorway back to learning, and what real confidence looks like, not just in school, but in life. This isn't a lecture. It's a conversation about hope, about dignity, about seeing children clearly, sometimes for the very first time. So please take a breath, settle in. This is Spirit Talk Show, and this is Russell Van Brocklin. You go by Russell, right?
Yep, Russell's fine. My last name is like Kaczynski, hard to pronounce. It's Van Brocklin.
Yeah. Say it again?
So, Van Brocklin.
Van Brocklin, wow.
Yeah.
Where's that from?
It's Dutch. Did you ever watch football?
Did I ever watch football?
I mean, it's been a long day. You have to be from a much older generation, but there was a football player, quarterback called Norm Van Brocklin, called the Dutchman, a distant cousin.
Okay.
When I went to high school, the football coach wanted me to start as a starting quarterback because the guy was a Hall of Famer. And I was like, grab a random cheerleader and have her throw the football as far as she could. She threw it farther than I could.
By the way,
I was a distance runner. I was not a football player. I said those genes did not come my way.
Well, it's okay. My son was built for football. He loves basketball, but he was built for football. So people are built in different ways. And by the way, I do have Howie, my co-host, is here with me on my left.
How you doing?
If you hear another voice, that's him. So tell me, Russell, how do you become the top number one guest of Podmatch? And for those who don't know, Podmatch is a service that I use to help find and connect.
Oh, are you recording yet, or?
Oh, I'm recording. Yes.
I'm not seeing any of the stuff I normally see on Riverside.
What do you see? Oh, I don't record. I'm in a professional studio. So
okay.
I record in the studio. I just kind of use Riverside as kind of like a Zoom meeting thing. And then I also like the way like Riverside does all the transcripts and stuff, like when I'm editing. So I edit on Riverside. I do my meeting on Riverside.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm actually just wanted to make sure.
Right here.
All right, great.
Right
okay,
here.
So
I have a computer here that's doing the
back.
recording.
Okay. Oh, let's get back into it. That's sorry. I just didn't want to not record and then have to redo it.
Okay. So, you are the number one guest in Podmatch. How did that happen and why did that happen?
Well, actually, it's more than that. I was also the number one guest in September last month. I was number three, and I've been the top five, I believe, for the last 6 months. So what happened is I have a story that I wish to communicate.
Yeah.
And then I found out after a couple of months on Podmatch, just as I was getting used to it, I wasn't getting any more matches. I was literally exhausted everything in my natural space. And then I started applying. I had to come up, this is a very dyslexic thing. I had to find a solution to this. And I found out that my application of what I use to help dyslexics overcome their concerns was allowed me to discuss and be a solution provider for a wide variety of areas. So my secret is I really let myself go when I was doing all my creative work. So now I swim an hour and a half a day to lose weight. And my assistant sends me podcasts that she think would be a good fit. So while I'm swimming, I keep my head out of the water.
Yeah.
And I listen to podcasts. And then I find ones that I think would be interesting. And then I have to come up with a couple of good ideas and I pitch those, and I have a very high selectivity rate.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, today, this is my fourth podcast. Tomorrow, I'm doing three. Typically, I do one or two a day, but my assistant really got me overbooked for these 2 days.
That's a lot. I know that my show has exploded in the last few months, and we kind of overextended ourselves in recording. We're doing like 3 in a row, and it does get really tiring when you do 3 in a row. So we're trying to, because we have episodes in the can all the way through June right now. Not that it'll take that long to release your episode, but I mean, so it's a lot of work. It can be a lot of work. So I noticed you're saying that word that I would pronounce dyslexic, but how do you say that word?
Dyslexic.
Dyslexic. Okay.
Yes.
I thought I heard you saying it in a different way. So so you're known as the Dyslexic Professor, okay? So, but your journey began. Looks like this is something that you have yourself, right? And
yes.
Please,
the journey's kind of interesting because this is the last thing in the world I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be a bureaucrat in the New York State government. What happened was, it was the late 90s. Yeah. I wanted to know how laws were made, not some course. I wanted to know. So I signed up for the New York State Assembly internship program, and I showed up and I said, I have a first grade reading and writing level. Here's my neuropsychological evaluation. The director kind of freaked out because how it works in the assembly is typically you have the elected official, the office manager or chief of staff that was an intern most likely a year or two before, and the intern, and that's it. So there's no way I could have done the job because with that level of reading and writing difficulty. So they went up to the speaker's office. They said, you're not sending this kid away. You're going to accommodate him. I don't just make it work. So they got a committee together, and they literally pulled me out of the legislative office building and put me over in the Capitol where they had in the Majority Leaders Program and Council's office, because it ran the assembly day to day, and they had 3 administrative assistants that could help me out. They had no idea what to do with me, so they gave me a graduate internship position because that's what they're used to. Great internship for the academic portion. I gave a multi-hour presentation instead of this typical paper. They send the accommodations and the recommendation of 15 credits for A- back to the State University of New York Center at Buffalo's Political Science Department. And they looked at the massive accommodations they gave me and said, we don't like this. So here's your 15 credits of F.
15.
They flunked me.
They flunked you. Well, oh my gosh.
Yes. They recommended 15 credits of A-. They didn't like the accommodations the state government itself created, so they flunked me. And I said, never again. So I went to my professors and I said, where can I go to force myself in graduate school to learn to read and write? And they said, well, if you like political science, it's obvious, law school, where they read and write more than anybody. So I went to law school.
Yeah.
And my second day of contracts, again, going in there without the ability to read was kind of fun. So I had to instantaneously try to figure this out. So Professor Warner calls on me in contracts for this on my second day. And what they do is they use the Socratic method. They beat you up, asking you questions nobody can answer until eventually down the line you adapt. That didn't happen to me. I didn't respond as a student, cowering like a whip dog. That wasn't me. I responded as his equal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember what I'm saying. I responded as his equal. He's been a professor for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's asking me questions. I'm answering. I know where he's going multiple steps ahead. Same with him. Everything just organized and became clear for the first time in my life. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. He couldn't shake me. I couldn't shake him. At the end, he said, "You couldn't be any more correct. I have to move on to the next case." I learned to read within a month. I learned to write within a couple of years. Then I went back to the New York State Senate. I said, "I want you to fund my dyslexia research program," which they don't do. After a couple of years with going through the education department and everything else, they started funding my program. We took a bunch of highly motivated, highly intelligent dyslexic juniors and seniors with middle school writing skills, one class period a day for the school year in a public school. They increased to average range of entering graduate students, the 30th to 70th percentile on the graduate records exam analytical writing assessment. They all went on to college. They all graduated. GPAs at 2.5 to 3.6, cost New York State less than $900 per kid, which was 2 to 3 times more successful than the best dyslexic college at the time for less than 1% of the cost. And that's how I got started.
Wow. So for people, and excuse me if I ask a question that seems like arrogant, like ignorant, if I don't understand. I know it's so. People think it's just a reading problem, but it's a lot more than that. Like, can you give us a little synopsis of what it really means?
Dyslexia is actually not a reading problem once you're properly trained. It's a symptom, like a cold, a stuffy nose is a symptom. This is the science on dyslexia. It's called Overcoming Dyslexia by Dr. Sally Shaywood, second edition. Mm-hmm. She's a medical doctor from Yale. And this is dyslexia. Okay. You see how the back part of your brain has this massive neural activity?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you see how the back part of mine has essentially next to nothing?
Okay.
Now, do you see how the front part of my brain is about 2.5 times overactive?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the frontal lobe part is more active in yours. And what's the back part of your brain used for?
That's where you do most of your learning kindergarten through high school. So when you're in typical school, the part of the brain they're trying to use for reading and writing just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But the front part of my brain is 2.5 times overactive. That deals with word analysis followed by articulation. And that's why dyslexics excel in grad school. We walk into grad school, we own the place day one or soon thereafter. Hear that story over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just really hard for us to get there.
So if somebody thinks they do suffer from this, because I'm sure you're old enough to say, to remember when, like, you were a kid, like you were probably treated like something was wrong with you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there was some kind of irrevocable or irtreatable, problem that they just couldn't fix. And so, how do people today, recognize that, okay, this is something I need to maybe do some research on? How can they recognize it in kids?
Well, first thing you do is, if the kid's old enough, I typically start working with them when they're 9 and older, is I would go to your kid and find out what their speciality is, their area of extreme interest and ability, and then just ask them this one question. In your speciality, do you find that you have ideas flying around your head at light speed? Key question, but with little to no organization. They're going to say yes. And what we do is we need to force the brain to organize itself by using writing as a measurable output. And once we do that, things just improve drastically. I just got done, a mom that said I could finally use her case to explain what happened. Her name was Kimberly. I met her on December 27th of 2024, a few days before, about a week or two before the state of Ohio finished testing her son and her other kids. She spent $700 on that. She's a homeschooling Christian mom. Reed was 10th grade, 10 years old, 5th grade, reading at the 11th percentile, writing at the 4th percentile. I worked with Kimberly a half an hour a week. She worked with Reed for an hour and a half a week for 5.5 to 6 months. I'm not telling you the end results because there's better data. Over the summer, his friends came to him and said, Reed, we want you in class with us, in public school for social reasons, in class, at lunch, etc. So in early August, he goes in 8 months later, and in school, they test him. His reading increased from the 11th percentile to the 65th. His writing increased, I'm sorry, from the 11th percentile to the 64th. His writing increased from the 4th percentile to the 65th. Now he's in this last semester, he's in public school getting mainly A's and B's in mainstream gen ed classes because his mom did what every parent dreams of, but she did it herself over about 36 hours.
And this is something that you teach people how to do, and people work with you. You said you worked with her a half an hour. For how long?
We worked with her for a half an hour a week. That's what I did for 5.5 months. Now, yeah. Kimberly's a homeschooling mom. She worked with him for 90 minutes a week. Most parents do 10 to 15-minute sessions a couple of times a week. So it depends on how much time you put into it. But that's just one example.
So what's involved in these sessions? Like what's she doing?
Well, basically, to give you an example, the biggest problem that parents come to me with is their elementary school kids are essentially writing a bunch of randomly placed misspelled words, and nobody knows how to fix it. The special ed teachers have no idea. All right? So what I'm about to show you is how to fix that in just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
All right? So do you know any elementary school dyslexic kids?
I think so.
Okay. Do you know any of them that are essentially writing randomly placed misspelled words?
I mean, I'm a teacher, is what I do by profession. I've definitely come across the kids who write like that, for sure.
Okay. So what I want you to do is pick a student, all right? And I want you to change their name to protect their identity.
Okay.
What's the made-up name of the student?
Tyler.
Tyler, okay? So what we're going to do is, if you're teaching Tyler, we're going to do it primarily on a laptop.
Yeah.
Not an iPad, not an iPhone, certainly not handwriting. And you're going to type out hero, +, what are we talking about? And Tyler's going to copy that. It's okay. Professor James Collins, Strategies for Struggling Writers, Default Rating Strategy of Copying. Now we're going to make a list of 10 things that Tyler really, really likes and 10 things that he really, really hates. But for this example, just give me the thing that he really, really loves. What's his speciality? What does he love to do? What is he good at?
He likes art, like drawing, graphic design, computer design, and graphics like that, yeah.
Okay, so just call it drawing?
Yeah, okay, drawing, art.
Okay. Drawing or art, which one?
Let's say drawing, yeah.
Drawing, okay. So we got hero, +, what are we talking about? Now we're going to swap out hero for Tyler. Tyler, +, what are we talking about? Then we're going to go to the first thing on the list that he really, really likes, which is art, and we're going to swap out what are we talking about. So we got Tyler, +, art. See how we got there?
So
we start
associating the thing he likes.
No, we started out with hero, +, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Then we swapped out hero for Tyler. Tyler, +, what are we talking about? Then we swapped out what are we talking about for art? Tyler, +, art. See how we got there?
Okay, yeah.
So what we did is we gave him something that organized his brain, and we started replacing it step by step.
Okay, wow. My brain is having a little difficult time grasping it fully, but I think I understand the value of what it can do for the kids, right? So I'm trying to
because remember, the front part of the brain is so massively overactive.
Yeah,
there's little to no organization. So we start off with hero, +, what are we talking about? We swap out hero. That's what Tyler just typed out. Hero, +, what are we talking about? We swap out hero for his name. Tyler, +, what are we talking about? He typed that. Then we swap out what are we talking about for the first thing on the list he likes, which is art. So Tyler, +, art. Okay. That's the third time he typed things out. So now we're at Tyler, +, art. See how we got here?
Yeah. So he's it's a way of collecting it and bringing it all together and putting it in a linear form. It reminds me of video editing. I worked on video editing. What I liked about it is this mess just comes into this neat little line of editing. That's what it sounds like to me. And,
yes. But we're going step by step where he sees the organizational template and then he fills it in slowly and he's typing, and that is what starts to organize the front part of his brain.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So now here's going to be so we got Tyler plus sign art. I'm now going to do a quick exercise where most people have an epiphany on what dyslexia really is.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you two of the simplest questions you've ever been asked. Okay? If you answer them exactly, this works. If not, it doesn't. And this is where most people have an epiphany on what dyslexia really is. So do you think I can fool you with two of the simplest questions you'll ever be asked?
I'm betting you can, but okay, we're going to try. I'm betting you've done it before, so I'm not the first person to do this.
So, no, I've done this hundreds of times. So what we're going to do is we got Tyler plus sign art. We got to replace the plus sign with a word. Here's my question. Does Tyler like or dislike art?
Likes.
Okay, now replace the plus sign with that word. What's the 3-word sentence?
Tyler likes art.
But that's not what I asked.
What's the 3-word sentence?
Well, let's go back to what I asked.
Yeah.
Does Tyler like or dislike art?
He likes.
Okay, but that's not what I asked.
Oh, I see. Okay. You asked, does Tyler like or dislike art?
Right.
And I believe the answer to that question, but I think you're doing something that demonstrates what it's like to be dyslexic. Because it sounds to me like you're asking the quick question, does Tyler like or dislike art? And I believe the answer to that be he likes art. But then you're saying that's not the question I'm asking, which makes
Nope, it's so simple. Do I have you thoroughly confused?
Yes.
Are you ready for your epiphany?
Yes.
Okay. I asked, does Tyler like or dislike art? And you did what almost every educated person does. You added the S to make it a proper sentence. Tyler's dyslexic. He doesn't know how to add the S.
Does Tyler like art?
Yes, because that's what I asked. Because let's go back to the science. Okay? This is the brain. You see this massive brain activity you have? This is where that is processed. You have tremendous neural activity. Tyler's got nothing going on. Okay?
Yeah.
So he doesn't know how to add the S. Now, if you want to know how the millionaires do it, they use an Orton-Gillingham multi-sensory structured language approach. What they do is they just force you to see it, touch it, hear it, every sense you can imagine, and it takes 4 to 5 years at $75,000 a year, and a 4 to 1, 5 to 1 student to teacher ratio. It's inefficient as all heck.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get this to work somehow. All right. What I'm telling you is we need to go from the back part of the brain to the front part of the brain, and that deals with word analysis followed by articulation. So here's how we fix this for Tyler. I asked Tyler, do you like or dislike art? He said, like. Okay. Then I'd say, put it in the sentence, Tyler like art. Okay. How do we get him to add the S? I'll just say, Tyler, read that what you just wrote out loud. Does it sound generally correct? No. Fix it. Tyler likes art. We do that for 10 likes and 10 dislikes. Do you see how like and dislike is an extremely simple form of word analysis?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now we're going to go because and the reasons. Do you see how the reasons are a simple form of articulation?
The reasons is
a very simple form of articulation.
Okay.
So let's ask, why does Tyler like art? Give me a simple reason.
Because he can recreate pictures in his brain or find a way to express them. Yeah, go ahead.
Tyler likes art because he can create pictures in his brain.
From his brain.
Now, do you see how we have a mess of misspelled words right now?
Yeah.
Here's how we fix that. First thing we do is we ask Tyler to read what he wrote out loud. Does it sound generally correct? If no, fix it until it does. Because as a teacher, I think you'll recognize this. Teachers have a problem fixing sentences with massive grammar errors. Mm-hmm. This fixes that. If they're mild or medium, you can deal with it. So that's what we just fixed. All
Yeah.
right. Now, the spelling is horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we tell Tyler he has to keep retyping until the sentence is spelled correctly. Any misspelled words, he's got to retype it. And he's going to do that about 3 to 13 times. Around 9 to 13 times, sometimes you can see sweat coming down their forehead because they're concentrating so hard. They keep saying, I'm not going to make that mistake. And they make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm not going to make that mistake. And they keep making it. The more times they make a mistake, the more and harder they concentrate until they're concentrating far harder than most people can even imagine. And that's where the magic happens. Eventually they get it correct. So then we do 10 likes and 10 dislikes, reason 1, where everything's spelled correctly. Then 10 likes and 10 dislikes for reason 1 and reason 2. Then 10 likes and 10 dislikes for reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. This is something parents can do at home in 10 to 15 minutes, a couple times a week until it's done. You have just taken Tyler from writing randomly placed misspelled words where their special ed teachers have no idea how to fix it, and you just fixed it by taking things from the back part where nothing's going on to the front part where there's 2.5 times more neural activity.
So what made you start this mission to help Tyler, to help kids like Tyler? I know you're called a dyslexic professor, and this is something that has become your life work and your mission. So where did that start?
Well, getting that F because I was dyslexic in my assembly internship program triggered this.
Yeah.
I said no more. And that was my starting point. But when I presented this in New York City in 2006 at the New York City branch of the International Dyslexia Association, I got 2 responses. I had the professor tell me, I said, I had some kids in high school score 70th percentile of entering grad students. They said, we don't care. We want the craft of research. It's like, the craft of what? It's the craft of research. You familiar with it?
It sounds like the crap of research, but yeah, the craft of research, yeah.
Sorry, craft.
Yeah.
It's a book that was published from the University of Chicago in 1995. It's been sold 1 million copies that teach PhD students how to write their dissertations under context, problem, solution. And I'm like, you want me to teach writing kids with dyslexia how to do PhD level stuff in high school? And they said yes. And they were very serious. It's like, okay. And then when I presented this to the teachers, they said, that GRE program, does it work for normal kids? And I said, absolutely not. And they said, come back when you have something.
Yeah.
So once we did the basic sentences, the next issue was we had to get these kids to write a basic 5-paragraph essay, which means I had to do the body paragraphs and the teachers could do the introduction and conclusion. So in order to do that, I had to start also teaching the kids how to read. All right. And when we're doing that, I found I couldn't get these kids to do anything until I looked back when I was in grad school. And I remember that time with Professor Warner. And I did so well because it was what I was interested in. I did more research and found out dyslexics in general are academic specialists, not generalists. We excel in a very narrow area. Yeah. It works the same for ADD and ADHD. So to give you an example of how important this is, my most successful case was her name was Casey when she was in 5th grade. I never saw this before her. I will never see this again. This was a one-off. Casey was the end of 5th grade, reading and writing at the 2nd grade level, and she was interested in Theodore Roosevelt, so I assigned her this little book called The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt, all 900 pages. Okay? 10th grade to first-year college level, depending on who you're asking. Casey, she wanted to do reading first, so I told her what to do. I didn't know Casey. She essentially locked herself in her room 3 hours a night for 6 months, most of the days during the summer. And at the end, she knew every word in that book. She jumped 8 grade levels in 6 months. I worked with her for 15 minutes a week. Then I asked Casey to read a book that she hated. And the results were, I said, how much did you lose in interest going from a book you liked to one you hated? And she said her motivation dropped 50%. When I asked typical students, their motivation dropped 75 to 90%. So you step outside that speciality during the intervention period, it's not going to work. for that reason.
Yeah.
So we have to focus during the intervention period on that speciality. And then the second step is, remember what I asked about the ideas of flying around your head at light speed and your speciality with little to no organization?
Mm-hmm.
We can't teach the kids from the big picture to the specific. We got to teach them from the specific to the general. Start off with a very specific question and then go out. If we start off with a general question and go down, it's like grabbing fog. There's nothing for us to latch onto. Our brains are chaos.
Yeah.
We start off from a very specific question and go out. It forces our brain to organize itself by using writing as the measurable output. Then you follow word analysis followed by articulation, and there you go. That's what we did with Reed, and his mom literally taught him less than half the time the school district would have spent, 7 times faster. That's how effective it is.
And that would be what you would call your most successful case. And
no, Reed is typical. Reed is very average.
So, okay.
Casey, sitting on her own in 6 months, increasing by 8 grade levels, and I worked with her for 15 minutes a week and no adult intervention. That was my best case.
Wow, it's amazing. So what do you think is the biggest myth about dyslexia, and do you wish every parent, teacher, policymaker would stop believing today?
The belief that we can be taught like everybody else until we're at grade level. So let me give you an example. The sport that I stink at is basketball. What's the sport that you're horrible at?
Me?
Yeah, you're just the worst ever.
Okay.
What is that?
Howie says all is big. I would say that, I don't know, what sport am I terrible at? I don't know.
I've never seen you play a sport.
But I guess because I come from like Ireland, we don't throw balls a lot with our hands. So I'd say like whenever I try to play a game where I have to throw a ball, I'm terrible at throwing, like baseball. I couldn't throw the ball from first base to second base, so I probably should.
How about basketball?
Basketball, yeah, not great. My son loves basketball, so I tried to get better, but.
Okay, let's go with baseball. So, if I were to tell you we're going to give you the best equipment in the world, you're going to get the best coach, you're going to get 6 months of the best training ever, and the person you're going to be competing against is exceptionally good, and we're going to give them used Walmart equipment. Does it matter?
No, he'll probably.
We're going to accommodate you by giving you the best, and we're going to make sure they get the worst, and they're still going to crush you.
I understand what you're saying. And in school, what we will do is we will keep everybody using the Walmart equipment to try to keep everybody equal. And then the kids who...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the main thing, again, I got to go back to the science.
Yeah.
We got to fix up here because this is not working in dyslexia. And we have to follow those 3 steps. Now, what happened to Reed? What happened to him is very typical. All right. He is now in middle school doing just fine. All right. But here's the little thing. We can actually take dyslexics and make them superior readers and writers. How does that sound?
Sounds great for anybody to have the opportunity to be superior. Yeah.
Well, here's how we do that. How far did you go in your education?
Me, I have a master's degree. Is that what you mean?
Okay. Yes. So I'm going to ask you a very technical question. We're doing body paragraphs.
Yeah.
Have you ever applied a warrant to a body paragraph?
A warrant?
Yes, a warrant.
Like a warrant, like the same spelling as the word that the police would get?
Yes.
I've never even heard of a warrant applied to a paragraph. What are you talking about?
Yes, that's what. This is what I mean by I was asked to teach the craft of research to high school kids. So we have to do this. This is the advanced context. Remember, context, problem, solution. This is what I teach middle school kids. A warrant is something that if you're outside of a PhD program, you're never going to hear about. So have you ever noticed when you were in grad school or college, you would have your topic sentence and you'd have your data, but it never seemed to flow too well?
Okay.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, the transitional problems,
Right. So what a warrant is you connect your data to the topic sentence answering a how and why question. So how we would go about doing that, this is just another quick way that parents can apply to get their kids to do literally college level writing. Because professors, they look at it and they go, oh, that kid did a warrant. This is college level. So to kind of explain this, I use universal themes. So when you're looking at this is kind of what we do with stories. I want you to think about a movie that you like, you think is one of the best evers that everybody has seen, and it's just one of the greatest movies ever that you know really well. What's the movie?
The Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element. All right, now you have a master's degree, but now I'm going to have you think for a moment.
Okay.
I want you to, I'm going to show you how to use a universal theme as a focusing mechanism.
Okay.
I want you to tell me in one word, what's the universal theme of The Fifth Element that best represents the movie in one word?
Wow. Connection.
Connection. Okay. Now, do you remember when you read a lot of reviews written by, I swear, Ivy League educated, I don't know how they got their diplomas, but Ivy League educated movie reviewers,
Yeah.
where they tell you this happened, and this happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can get a child to write that. Here's how we do it properly. We will take the universal theme of connection, and then you'll tell me in your review that you're going to write how the actors and directors did with that universal theme, how the actors did, how the directors did, and how the screenwriter did. Now you can write a review properly that people can read it and say they know what you're saying, that they can decide if they want to see the movie or not, and you didn't ruin it for them.
Okay.
Okay, but here's the problem with connection. Do you see how broad it is?
It's very broad, yeah.
Yeah, so we can't use it to focus too well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem we need. I did that to demonstrate how we need to overcome that. So I explain this in literature because dyslexics have the worst time in English class, so that's what I showed them how to overcome. So in any story, you have a hero. The hero wants to do something. A universal theme represents what's going on, and then we have an ultimate villain. This is an advanced form of word analysis. So what we would do is we'd have a hero, and then we'd say, what does the hero want to do? And you're going to write a sentence, couple of sentences. That's why we have to start with those 3-word sentence, those 3 reason sentences, so they can actually write one. You're going to look at whatever number of sentences you wrote and pick the most important word. And then you're going to pick the best, most important word. That is what I'm now going to call our base universal theme. The problem is, just like what you came up with for the Fifth Element, it's too broad. We can't focus enough. We have to make it individualized to you. So how we do that is we say, we're going to have, this is what I tell the kids, they're going to type out the word, go to Merriam-Webster's online dictionary, pick out their definition, type out the definition. After they do that 5, 10, 15 times, they know that word, they know that definition, because without the ability to do that, you can't use word analysis. You don't know what the word means. Then we're going to go to a thesaurus, and you can pick 5 words, 10 words, the whole level, multiple levels, whatever the teacher and student decide. And what you're looking for is a word and the definition. We're going to repeat the same process, type out the word, pick the definition, type out the definition. You're looking for a definition that best matches what's in your head. Okay? Now it's very specific, so we can get a much clearer use of the lens. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Then we pick our ultimate villain that best represents a person or concept that can best prevent the hero from accomplishing their goal. Once we have that, we got the hero, the universal theme, and the villain. We put it into a basic sentence. That's an advanced form of word analysis. Then we add because, and now we're going to do an advanced form of articulation. We're going to come up with the 3 best reasons we can. For each reason, we're going to reduce it to a 1-word universal theme. And then for the Fifth Element, we'd just go to the script. We'd use that 1-word universal theme to find a 1-sentence quote, one at the beginning of the document and one near the end. We would put those 2 quotes together and then form our topic sentence. And then we would connect the topic sentence with the 2 quotes by applying a warrant, which is essentially answering a how and why question. And because they're both from the same universal theme, we can just use 1 warrant. Now, in the courses we teach, we add bunch of stuff from the New York State Regents exam for high school kids in English and stuff from the craft of research, but that's the basics. Here's the key point. A university professor looking at that would look, oh, they used a warrant. That's at the college level. And I teach that to seventh graders who are 12. Mm-hmm. They typically have an older brother or sister in high school fighting to be valedictorian in advanced placement English. They write better flowing paragraphs, better word choices, but technically the middle school dyslexic is writing a more evolved paragraph because they're using warrants. And the professors say so. And it drives the high school AP kids crazy, and it's beautiful.
You're giving them a skill that can get them ahead of the game and ahead of the people, and that gives them, that's probably why they do well, because they have achieved something that's not common for their peers, right? And, probably the power of that success is driving them forward. And I have to admit, you're saying a lot, and I'm having sometimes a hard time like following it fully because it's like I'm trying to keep up, and I don't know why I've never like heard the word warrant before in relation to writing. I mean, I guess I wasn't in my master's program. We did lots of writing.
It's not. It doesn't show up until your PhD program, and you're probably going to have to go back and re-listen to this a few times to get everything. But just look at what I told you.
Yeah.
You have a master's degree.
Yeah.
All right. You are one of the most educated people as a percentage of the population in the country. Mm-hmm. And something you didn't know about writing that's taught at the doctoral level, what I just gave you the process, that's what these kids can do at the end of seventh grade. That's how advanced, and that's just context. We haven't gotten into the problem statement yet or the solution, which I teach in advanced middle school and in high school.
So you're working with kids who have the dyslexia, or are you working with all kids?
Well, we just started working. I just started working to test out the process on. There's a kid who I just started working with. I don't have permission to use his first name yet. Next week. I'm just going to call him Bob.
Yeah,
he's the son of another podcaster. Bob has nothing to do with dyslexia. He is 10 years old and scored in the 99th percentile in math and science. He's brilliant.
Yeah, wow.
He wants to work at NASA as a PhD.
Yeah.
So I said, Bob, okay, you have to publish. So the process that I just gave you, I gave him the history of Mars. I started off creating this I used Opus 4.5, and I said, give me PhD level, write the article based on just peer review research and make it up for doctoral students. Then I dumbed it down, because remember, he's 10, to ninth grade reading, 12th grade comprehension, and that's what fits him right now. So we got to get him through that, which he'll fly through, and then I have to show him, we already started the exercises on how to come up with a problem statement, which is something that he can do, and number two, we found a big enough hole that we need to fill this with a peer-reviewed journal article. Then I'll show him solution. Once we get him published in an obscure journal somewhere, that'll really help him get into grad school. He does that a few more times, and then he's going to be golden, really strong candidate for NASA. And he's starting at 10.
Wow. I mean, he already sounds pretty savant as it is with his math and science level. And I know I'm a teacher, and in one of the big problems in school is we have these kids who are COVID really messed up a lot of kids. They're far behind.
Oh, yes.
A lot of kids are far behind. And the reason I stopped teaching math because of COVID and how far behind kids are. But we're still expected to teach algebra in ninth grade, but the kids can hardly do second grade math. And I think that's probably the issue a lot of kids have with writing in English too. I've got standards I got to get through in ninth grade and 10th grade, but these kids haven't mastered second grade standards yet. And so how do you do it? And I think you have a shortcut, which is probably can help a lot of kids. Are you trying to get into the regular schools, or do you run a school?
Oh, you have no idea. To show you how messed up this is, I met with a New York State elected official at the state level, and I walk into the meeting with one of the most senior teachers that was recognized by one of the best in the state. Her name is Evelyn Whitebag. She was on the New York State Dyslexia Task Force. And we go in there with two members of the board of directors of a major dyslexia charity, non-for-profit. And they asked, how can the super wealthy school district be so bad with dyslexia over generations? So the elected official calls his superintendent, all right, and says, we got to set up a meeting. We're willing to do this one for free, all right, to get the data. So he calls them up, and they're supposed to have this big meeting. They ended up doing 2 people online instead of in person. They blew us off. All right. Just trying to get into public schools is essentially, we're trying. It's mission impossible. I just tell the parents, it's just much easier if you just fix this yourself.
I know there's a lot of
It's ridiculous, but that's what it is.
It's ridiculous. And also there's a lot of issue with, like, unions is an issue too, because unions don't always look for what's best for kids. They protect teachers.
Oh, no, the teachers are easy. Yeah. I go in and I explain, because here's what I tell teachers. I'm going to teach you, and you're going to say, I don't like X, Y, or Z. I'm like, I don't care. Change it to meet your teaching style and who you're working with. I got that in my original program. I went in there saying, here's how you do it. And she says, I want to be a co-pilot, not a passenger. And she rewrote everything. I didn't even recognize my own stuff.
Wow, that's great.
That's what I learned day one. So you have to be, the teachers aren't the problem. The issue is that we need to pull these kids aside for an intervention period and get them at grade level or above before we stick them back in. Because literally our brains are completely opposite from typical kids. So let me give you an example with your own education. I want you to think back to college and grad school. I want you to think if you did these 2 things. You planned your studying properly. You planned it meticulously, and then you worked really hard. You did that. You did really, really well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to when you were in college. There was a dyslexic who said, I'm going to drop to 6 credits where you're taking 15 or 18, and I'm going to work much harder than you. I'm just going to study 16 hours a day, go to class, and that's it. They would still do horribly because the part of our brain that they're using, it doesn't freaking work. Now, once we get into grad school, did you notice that there were some people in your graduate program and you're like, how the heck did they get in here? They're horrible.
Oh, gosh, yes. Every day.
Now, the dyslexic would walk in, and remember that speciality for, like, Tyler?
Yeah.
He's been focusing on that since he was freaking 5
mm-hmm.
and studying it very deeply. Now, he walks into grad school on that, let's say a PhD program. Can you contribute knowledge? They will say yes on day 1 or soon thereafter. It is so unfair. When I had to get my stuff approved by Dr. Collins,
mm-hmm.
people told me it was going to take years to get his approval. Guess how long it took me?
A month?
Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A+, excellent. Because there was a university-wide competition I had to apply to, I got $15,000, and then we used that to test on a couple of students outside the school day. The school district said they wanted it, and then the state decided to fund me. If it wasn't for that $15,000, this would never have happened.
So, what's your end game? Like, what's the wish? What's the hope? What's the goal?
My hope is eventually we get this inside public schools. Just so you know, the state of New Jersey, through the New Jersey Association of Learning Consultants, which is under New Jersey state law, they test dyslexia and then they recommend programs. That basic, how to take them from can't write anything to a basic 5-paragraph essay. I taught their entire association that of over 80 people a couple of years ago because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's in New Jersey schools. I've been teaching New York City public school teachers this for the past, 11 years. Okay. My goal is we're now moving our courses online to a learning platform called School, SKOOL.com. And that's going to allow us to really lower the price to $147 a month. Families stay with us for as long as they would like. And we're able to give them weekly webinars to answer their questions, which doesn't happen at that price point. My goal is to make sure that kids don't have to go through the hell I went through.
Yeah.
So that they can overcome their issues. And when I said that we've done the craft of research, I took out 2 parts for the problem statement so we could focus on one book and we show them everything else. It's essentially senior year college level writing, which we show high school kids. You add in those last 2 parts, you're now at doctoral level. And we show that to middle and high school kids.
And wow, my brain is, I think our brains are working in different places, obviously. And that's working, and that's being successful, showing this to, obviously it's working for you because kids are doing it, right? And kids are being successful.
Oh, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of families over time, but now that we're moving to an online learning platform, my goal is to get a couple of thousands of families enrolled. So we made it that simple. The person who's putting it up, I have 2. One is she's a curriculum designer, adjunct professor at the University of Grand Canyon, and she's putting up one for parents, teachers, and tutors. And then for homeschoolers, I have Angela, who is very skeptical. She's a certified elementary school teacher with a decade of experience. When she started working with her son August, with those basic sentences, she's like, this works tremendously well. So she's putting up a course for homeschooling parents.
So people who have a kid who is dyslexic or they suspect, so tell them where they can get your information and where they can find it and what the next steps that they should take is.
Easiest thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's plural with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com. There's a button that says download free guide. Just click on that, answer 3 questions, get your guide, and then set up a time to speak with me it's a half hour, so there's no cost. I help you find your kid's book, what they're interested in, their audio book, and help them and show you how to get them started.
And so somebody who's listening right now can go over to, say the name of the website one more time.
Dyslexiaclasses.com and just click on download free guide.
Okay, dyslexiaclasses.com will, of course, be in the description of this episode. Mm-hmm. You can click there and information. So the time just flew by, and I'm like, I'm fascinated, and my brain hurts a little bit, I'll admit, because I'm trying to grasp it. And I want to be honest, I don't usually have a problem grasping things right away. But there's things that I'm feeling a little bit lost on, and I don't know if it's different ways our brains communicate, probably.
Oh, no. I just essentially told you how to take a kid from writing randomly placed misspelled words to write the most part of a body paragraph that would be considered at the high school or college level.
Wow.
In an hour. So that's a little heavy.
That's a lot. So what is the, in closing, what you think, what's your message to people listening? What the world, what can people, what should people be, what's your message to the world, I should say?
It's really simple. When you're starting off with a dyslexic way behind, during the intervention period, you have to work on their speciality, a book that they're really interested in until you get them to grade level or above. Then you teach them from the specific to the general, word analysis followed by articulation. That's how our brains are designed. And then after you're done, stick them back into normal classes. They'll grumble, they'll push back because they're doing things they don't like, and they'll adjust and they'll be fine.
So you're saying a book that they like. You don't mean, because I thought you were talking about a topic they like art, computers, or something. But you're specifically talking about a book that they like.
Yeah, for Reed, it was X-Men. He really liked Logan, so we did graphic novels. Key point, his mom pre-approved each one because some were you didn't want to give to a religious 10-year-old kid, so she had to pre-approve them.
I see.
But typically, that's for him. For my more advanced students, this is my most popular book. And Walt Disney, The Triumph of the American Imagination, all 1,000 pages of it.
Okay.
And I will give this to a 10-year-old.
And they can be successful with it very quickly.
Yes, because they go to Disneyland and Disney World, they feel the Disney magic, and I tell them it's 2 universal themes. And they say, well, we want to find out what those are. And I said, okay, the first one's easy. The second one you got to find. Typically takes them about 1 to 2 years to find. But by that time, they're reading like a 17-year-old.
I think what it makes me think about is, we talk about heroes in our society, like army and police. And I think we need to start thinking about people like you, people and teachers and people who step up and are the heroes that we really need, right? Because the hero to get it into schools and to get to get it where it can really help people. Because I'm sure that as a kid, you were in a position like you were just told you can't get it, you'll never learn, you're dumb, right? Whatever you were told.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a very painful time, I'm sure. And there's kids right now who are hurting because they're being told the same stuff right now. And
right. But here's the big thing where we're going to own the future. Have you noticed with AI adoption that you're given a lot of time to adjust employment-wise because you know everything. You're a senior, right?
Yeah.
The kids coming out of school, nobody's hiring them because they don't know what they're doing. AI is replacing what we would normally have the kids do.
Yeah.
So if you know the craft of research, context, problem statement, solution, all right, I've had students go through that knowing nothing about AI and hating it to getting a job and then applying what I taught them, and then they're teaching AI within a couple of weeks after joining the company. Because if you know the craft of research, you can do AI brilliantly.
And I think that's definitely, but I think so some kids are going a different way. My oldest son is brilliantly intelligent, in the 90 percentiles in most things. And he wants to be a plumber. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a plumber.
No, good for him, because here's where that's going. What I would tell your son, he's going to join the union probably.
He actually is taking the test in a few weeks, yeah.
Okay. If they have a it's different in different states. I'm just going to use an electrician because I know it better than a plumber.
Yeah.
I would tell my kids, go to the state community college for 2 years, get your associate's degree.
Yeah.
They would do that, then join the union, because for electricians, they would have to do two night sessions a week for 5 freaking years to get their associates. They got theirs first, and then they can go home at night. I'm not sure if that's the case for plumbers. Get your union thing, and you will do much better than most college grads. And people are saying, well, robots are going to take over. Not. I want to just let everyone know where that is. Optimus from Boston Electronics, or whatever the name is 88% owned by Hyundai. They are just now having Optimus pick up heavy stuff and then move it over and put it on a table.
Yeah.
That's where they are right now. Nobody wants that job. They said that's where they are. The idea of them replacing humans on the line, they said that is so far away, it's not even in the same universe.
I know, but also in his world, he just did a full job, a $7,000 job by himself. So at 18 and 19, he's having enormous success and respect. He just got a bonus from his boss because he's this 18-year-old who's smart and can learn things quickly, and he can be such a star in that world. And I think that's very attractive to a lot of kids too. Yeah. And
just so you know, again, I'm in Albany, New York, near the state capitol, 150 miles north of New York City.
Yeah.
Here's what union plumbers are getting. They're getting $80-something an hour in the union now. And what they're trying to do is to keep the cash payment low as possible. So it's in the non-taxable pensions, healthcare, savings account, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it comes out to a little 80-something an hour. You do 2,000 hours a year, that's $160,000 of everything.
Well, I live in California, just close to Sacramento. I'm sitting in Sacramento right now, but I live a little bit out of town. About that, $80 to $90 an hour, and it's he's. The cost of living is much higher in California. Well, yeah, but not where in Sacramento. Yes, the cost of living, but where I live out in the foothills, it's a lot cheaper. Like you can mind, I've got a really nice house I got for $350, right? A really nice house. So it's a little bit. I mean, food and gas is a little bit more expensive for sure. I don't know what gas isn't expensive, but we were in New York. Howie and I were in New York.
$2.79 a gallon.
Yeah, I paid, and I was happy to pay $3.50 today, $3.60 today. And we were driving down the street and we saw $3.39, and we thought, oh wow, $3.39.
Well, it was above $4 for the longest time.
Yeah, it reached up to $6. The most I ever paid one time in the height of the crisis was I paid $9 a gallon, and I'm from Ireland, where people are paying the equivalent right now of $15 a gallon in Ireland. That's why all the cars in Ireland go like 80 miles per gallon because same car. It's amazing. The same cars that we have here do 80 miles a gallon in Ireland, but they seem to do 25 here in the United States. I don't know why that is. That might be that might be something to think about. But wow. So
yeah. So your son's on his way, and that is really good because a lot of his generation, there are 2 million less college kids now than there were in 2019. His generation woke up and said, "I'm not going in debt and not going to be having AI take my job." So plumbing is fantastic. What is it? 5 years for him in the union to get trained?
Yeah, I think it might be even less. He started to apply for the union. He already has 4 companies chomping at the bit to please take the test. Please take the test. Because he's smart, he's fit, he's personable, he's like this golden 18-year-old that you would never find. He's 19 now, but that you just don't find in the world because a lot of them are stuck on computers and stuck into the
always on their iPhone. So he's
and the mill wheel of going to college and spending 4 years in college and then looking at 22 starting to look for a job, right? And that's
so he's going to go out, he's going to make a real income, and he'll be doing just fine. So what I do there, the process that I showed you with that advanced way of doing things, that's typically how far I take those kids, because when they're dyslexic, they still have to write 5-paragraph essays on an involved level to say, here's a problem, here's how you fix it.
Yeah.
The second kid I took through, he joined in the schools, they have those big boiler things for everything.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. That's the union he joined. They called him in when he put himself on vacation at $5.25 a week. Grew up poorer than heck. So they bring him in, and he took a day and a half, and he apologized for it. The union is under a fixed price contract. They couldn't figure it out for over a month. He solved it in a day and a half.
But then people are stuck like union. Like Howie and I are involved in performance, like arts here in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. And you can't do anything without paying. Our last concert was $22,000 of union labor to move stuffs around and close curtains for 2 nights of performance. I mean, that's how much the union cost. It was 11 people to move risers and move things and put curtains down and move. I mean, it cost so people are stuck in these enormously expensive union contracts.
You have union cashiers doing so
a lot of money.
It depends, and that's why I see in my state a lot of when Trump did his tax thing where you couldn't deduct your state tax income and property taxes anymore. The Republicans left the Northeast, and New York was number 3 then. We're number 4. Florida went from a slightly Democratic state to very Republican. Mm-hmm. So now the Senate in New York State used to be Republican led. Now it's past veto-proof Democrat.
Wow. I mean, this is
so. I'm a moderate, so I just go wherever. But I live here because I'm if you go north of New York City and west from Boston, I'm right there. I can drive with no traffic, to DC in 6.5 hours.
Wow. And so you're right.
So I can go, everything's within driving distance. Out where you guys are, I mean, you guys got to fly everywhere.
Well, I'm familiar with New York. I lived in the Bronx for years. My cousin owns a restaurant in the Bronx, so I'm familiar with, and I lived in upstate New York and Connecticut for a while, so I'm familiar with.
Where in upstate?
I lived in, is it the town's called Utica, where the prison is?
Utica?
Yeah.
Yeah, yep, that's, I can be there in about 90 minutes.
And I also lived in Buffalo for a little bit because I just loved Niagara Falls. So, but I mean, then I moved out here west when I got married, but I lived in Connecticut too. In Mystic Seaport is where I lived in Connecticut.
Yep.
And so and I knew a guy who lives in Cape Cod, right on the elbow, in the town called Orleans. So he had a beautiful ranch there. So I'm familiar with the area and how easy it is to get from Boston to New York compared to for me to get from Sacramento to LA. Like we're going to San Diego in a few weeks, and it's an 8-hour drive maybe, unless you hit, or 11 if you hit like LA traffic, right? So
yeah, and tell you the truth, I'm in Richmond at 11 hours. So the thing is, where you are, it's nice now. Where I am, it sucks. The weather's horrible.
It's pretty nice now. I'm not. Yeah, this is what I'm wearing outside. I didn't even bring a jacket today because it's quite nice.
Yeah, rub it in.
Quite nice. Well, we better. Hey, wow, we have spoken for a long time then and kicked me out of the studio. But thank you.
I gotta get to bed. I got an early podcast, so thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for coming on. Say goodnight,
No,
Howie.
thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Good night, Russell.
Howie,
Thanks a lot.
Okay, good night.
We should stop talking so much, Howie. Yes, okay, good night. Thanks for spending time with us. Now go make a story worth telling.